Hi, this is Phil Brennan at the Good Games with.
Michael Pistone.
Justin Brennan.
Lady Alpha 13.
Dan Jared Smith.
We are going to be. We are going to be doing a sealed deck building and construction together, in spirit for tomorrow with the release of one.
Journey
to
to
the
Nyx. So this is the pre-release pack. I picked the black one because it's what I played mostly at the pre-release. I really liked it because what you get for contents in this pack is you get 1 pack of Born of the Gods, 2 packs of Theros, you get 2 packs of the new set Journey to Nyx, and you get a seeded pack with a promo card. Now I like the black promo card quite a bit, and the seeded pack has to have a rare in your color or a god. And so the black rares in the set are all really, really good, so I like this drafting black. We get a die as well, which is kind of cool.
Color coordinated, of course.
Color coordinated. So I guess I'll start with like the newest set. I'll start with the seeded pack, and we'll see kind of what rare we got. And I'm going to kind of go through the cards more when we're going through and building the deck, but I'll kind of highlight some really good ones right now. Obviously, the promo is excellent. The rare here is actually pretty disappointing. Destroy all non-enchantment creatures for 6 mana. You know, in sealed, you're going to have a lot of creatures out, so that's probably not the best thing to get. I'm just going to start color sorting, and we'll kind of go through the cards when we start
It's also
building.
the fact that it only blows up non-enchantment creatures.
That's true. So you could try to build a deck with a lot of enchantment creatures with a constellation, and black kind of likes that, and that's what the promo kind of rewards you doing, but I've kind of found Constellation to be a little underwhelming. So none of these cards that I saw were particularly exciting. Some good stuff that's definitely playable, but nothing that makes me want to play a certain color yet. But you can see that the seeded pack comes heavily seeded in the color that you picked. So we got a lot of black playables right away. We'll go straight to the rare. We got Dictate of Erebos.
Wow,
Excellent that we got a black rare.
It's very good.
Considering we picked the black pre-release. That rare is, in fact, excellent, just like Justin says. You know, you can flash that in, so you go block their guy, trade with their creature, and all of a sudden they have to sack a second creature. Your opponents might not be ready for that. We got a Brain Maggot.
Even combo with the Extinguish All Hope that was just opened.
That's true. That's very, very true. So we got a gold card. We can kind of sort the colors a little bit more.
Our red is kind of lacking.
I was
Blue's
pretty
lacking the most.
unimpressed by red in this set,
Yeah,
so
same here.
I've only played. I haven't played red in any of my sealed pulls yet.
I played Seal. I played Red for the pre-release, and I was severely underwhelmed.
See what the next rare is. Okay, we got a Battlefield Thaumaturge. That's kind of good for the heroic deck, but the heroic deck's usually blue-white, and since I think we're going to play black, it's probably not going to be the best card that we need, but we'll kind of see what we get. I really liked this card in the pre-release, considering there's so many enchantments, and a lot of the promo cards were enchantments, so that thing's almost always going to kill something. And that's pretty good, too, because if you wait for them to bestow on their creature, all of a sudden you've killed the creature and just completely swung the tempo of the game. So in this, I actually really like those 2 white cards from that pack. Both of those, I had a lot of fun playing with those. The Supply Line Cranes is pretty strong, and the Achroma Mastiff just starts tapping down a creature. And even though we don't have much white, the power of some of those white cards there looks pretty good. So we'll kind of see what we get in the next packs. Born of the Gods. Born of the Gods was a weak set for black, so we'll see kind of what we get. Well, we got another black rare. This Fated Return.
Could be good. It's a blocker, if anything.
I'll be honest, I haven't played that card, so I actually don't even know what it does. I have to read it, but Phil, you might want to...
Fate Return is 4 and 3 black, instant speed. Put target creature card from the graveyard to the battlefield under your control against indestructible. If it's your turn, scry 2.
So in this pack, some cards that I kind of saw stand out to me are Bolt of Keranos and a Crow and Skyguard and Retraction Helix. Those are some of the best cards in those colors. So it's actually a strong Born of the Gods pack, considering Born of the Gods is a pretty weak set overall, in my opinion. We've got some choices here, kind of based on what kind of rares we open in the next few packs.
All the triple Born of the Gods didn't do it for you, Mike?
I did not like Triple Born of the Gods, no. But Theros, that is a great limited set. And most of these cards should be excellent. We start right away with a great card on top, God's willing. Oh, we got a foil Anax and Cyanide or
Cyanide.
Anthrax and
Oh,
cyanide.
and a Chain to the Rocks rewarding a red-white build. It's really interesting. I'm not sure if we can pull that off with the cards we've got in front of us right now. We don't have that much red and white, but these two cards are really high power level, and we have the gold card we opened before. So we'll kind of see where that goes. Got an Insatiable Harpy. That's excellent for the black deck. Got a Trident Tactics, another great blue card. God's Willing is a great white card. Nesting Course is a great green card. This is just a fantastic set overall. Baleful Eidolon is going to be great if we play the black deck. Another gold card. Couple strong, aggressive red cards if we decide to go with red. Got Dragon Mental and the Minotaur and Titan Strength. I think all those are playable. Shredding Winds is probably a main deckable card. A couple black cards, Benthic Giant, Battlefield Thaumaturge, kind of put that back. We got one more pack, and we'll kind of see where we're at. Right now, I think we're going to kind of rule out green. I haven't seen a really strong card in green yet, nor do we have that many green cards. Nothing worth splashing for yet. We'll see what we get now. We got Foil Omen Speaker, good blocker.
Mustache lady.
And we got a Fleecemane Lion in green-white, though I don't really know if that's enough reason to play green just yet. We got a Battlefield Battle-Wise Hoplite if we decide to go with blue-white, kind of heroic. Oh, we got a great card if we decide to go with white with our black as Scholar of Athreos. That card can win games on its own. And in the same pack, we got a Hopeful Eidolon, which is really good. Really strong white card. So let's kind of see where we're at. Get an artifact.
Actually, our first artifact.
First artifacts
Second
Two of
artifact.
them.
Yeah.
in the same pack. So what I typically do when I play sealed, I kind of didn't do this here, but I usually go through and pull out the really best cards in each color that try to kind of see what is convincing me to play a certain color. So
In my opinion, I think we should be going toward the black-white route because our black is a bomb, and just getting the Chain to the Rocks and all that was just a really good way just to get more removal in. In my opinion, that's why I look for first and what I open for rares.
yeah, and I think it's a strong indication you want to kind of play black when you
Get stuck.
we picked out black. We got a lot of rares. It's probably pretty strong. What I'll probably do is I like to eliminate a color if I can right away. So I'm going to try to see if I can eliminate green because I kind of had a theory that green wasn't that good. We didn't open any green rares. So we've got some very playable green cards here. Well, maybe we don't actually. Like these are all pretty strong. The Snake's pretty good. The Satyr Wayfinder kind of lets us get some lands, but nothing outstanding. Humble Immortals is a 6-drop, kind of expensive. I'm not sure it's where I really want to be. We got 2 Golden Hydoxes, which is also 6-drops. And I mean, there a lot of power and toughness on those guys, but I don't know. I don't want to be losing the game before I get a chance to play them. And the Constellation Effect is good, but I'm not sure if it's the game-winning kind of thing I want on, this is 6 mana. I'm probably not playing it on turn 6. I'm probably playing it turn 8, and might lose the game by that point. We get 2 Oakheart Dryads, which also have the Constellation Effect. I don't know, overall, green just seems pretty underwhelming to me. I know we're probably going to be giving up the Fleecemane Line and the Destructive Revelry if we decide to kind of bail on green, but I kind of don't think the power level's really there. We don't have any real removal. We just got a couple guys. And I think we weren't really creature light, so I'm going to kind of put green to the side. I don't know.
I agree. I wasn't too filled with the green. What about you guys?
Green, yeah, I agree with you. Usually, had you gotten more creatures in green or more tricks that you could work with the black, green-black can be a powerful combo. So, but I understand where you're going with this. I like the Constellation abilities personally, and black has some of the best, and so does green. But the fact that you did get 3 of the 6 drops, 1 of each would be fine if you had enough light cards to go off in the beginning. Besides that, I understand why you're cutting it. It'd probably be, in my opinion, to cut it as well.
Yeah, I think, had we gotten, some other really great green cards from maybe the Theros packs, if we got, a Nessie and Asp, if we got a Voyaging Satyr to help us kind of with our mana a little bit faster.
Or even just smaller green enchantment creatures like the Eidolon that has Reach, the Nyxborn Wolf.
That's a great card.
Small enchantment creatures, so you can go ahead and ramp into them. You can allow the Constellation ability to happen beginning and late game to have the abilities go off.
Right.
I mean, even things like the Nylea enchantment and the Karametra
Ordeal?
Yeah, not the Ordeal.
The
the
mana
Ordeal-
fixing
yes,
enchantment, Nylea's
both
Presence,
of
which
them
could
would
help
be-
us play a couple extra colors.
Both of them either way were one in chance of land, the other one in chance of creature. Both draw you cards. There's small enchantments that help with the constellation ability along with fixing your mana.
Right.
So there would be another possibility. Since we didn't get them, I can understand why cutting green
Yeah.
right away would be probably a pro choice in this situation because unless you're, as you said before, really creature light, greens
Right.
at this point seems to be not the way to go.
These are the really only creatures.
Yeah, well, we had a couple others, but and the things we don't really have any premium removal. Green doesn't really have that much removal, but had we gotten a time to feed, maybe
Yeah, some kind of
we'd consider
flight
playing
ability,
it a little bit.
Or even the Scorpion
the Scorpion's a
for
great
for Death
card.
Touch.
Yep.
Yeah, we didn't get that.
We
so
didn't get that, and like the other thing too with green that I would have thought of is we just didn't really get any good mana fixing either. It just doesn't really not offer us much. So green is out for me.
Green is by far not the weakest, but
In
in the set, yeah. But
this
we just
particular
didn't get what we
pool,
needed. We
yeah.
just didn't.
I agree.
Right. So I think the next thing I kind of want to do is, we have some cool cards that reward red and white, and maybe blue and white, but we're probably going to play black.
I agree.
So it's really going to be kind of like, let's kind of, I would probably just start laying out the black at this point to try to see what I've got.
I agree with this. We should
And then see what we need.
Let's start.
see what we can
separating-
start cutting because black.
creatures
The way
with-
black looks from my viewpoint, it's about this big.
Yeah.
So I think that even we could, it's not preferable. Going mono black's not a bad idea either with what we got.
Right.
I mean,
Yep.
Or we can
It's not a bad idea, but I think
it's not a good
with
choice.
what we've gotten in both white and red, and
can definitely
even in
splash.
blue, a splash wouldn't hurt
Right.
whatsoever. It actually might be rewardable to splash a little bit of one other color just to go ahead and amp up the number of creatures or either removal or control spells that
Exactly.
go along with black.
Yep.
just for the double whammy.
So I've kind of separated the non-creatures. We've got a few enchantments, and remember that our promo has Constellation, so it's going to kind of reward us for playing enchantments anyways. Here we've got two kind of enchantment removal spells. They're not outstanding, but they're not terrible. I think they're definitely playable, especially
I
if
play
we got other
Aspect of the
enchantments.
Gorgon all the time, and it's
Same.
never a dull card.
Yeah.
I love that card every minute of
The
it.
fact that it gives 3 to toughness is one of the best parts about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the
With
Death Touch just slows the game down to
Yeah.
the point where
Exactly.
you win with your
Even-
big bombs.
Turning a 1/2 or even a 2/1 into a threat where they all of a sudden decide not to block just because of the Death Touch can
Yeah.
really change the state of the game into your side of the
And,
field.
My-
and it stays there till it gets removed by the other.
My favorite combo with this card is there's a 0/4 for 1 heroic card, and I love playing it on this guy because it becomes a 2/7.
1/7.
No, it has heroic.
Oh yeah, 2/7.
So it comes to 2/7, and then you're looking at it. It's like, well, now I can't deal with this because it's gigantic.
Yeah.
And unless you have a flyer to get over it, it's stopping the game.
Right. We'll lay out the creatures in a second, but remember, yeah, we're kind of probably build around these enchantments. This Dictate of Erebos is easily one of the best cards that we opened. We're probably gonna want to build around that. Then we've got a little bit of tricks with the removal, and if we play enough enchantment creatures, maybe this is worth kind of playing in the deck. So after kind of moving over to the creatures, what I did next was I kind of laid them out by mana cost, and I'll kind of lay them out in front of you so I can kind of see like what kind of curve do I have just in like my main color that I want to play. And it actually looks pretty good.
I like this curve very much so. Me personally, I do not like the rotted Hulk because it's just a 2/5 that does nothing.
Yeah, it's not outstanding. If we need to kind of have a filler creature, depending on like what color we choose, that can go in. Otherwise, it's not really that important.
I also don't like that Return Centaur either.
It's a little much.
Which one's the Return Centaur?
Right here, 4 mana.
Oh, the 4 mana
But
2/2
it
2/4.
does mill them for 4, so that actually, even if you're not on the middle strat,
It feels underwhelming though. It just feels
a
like
2 for 4 is perfectly fine. The fact that you also get the advantage of taking 4 of their cards off the top of their deck, even if it's not your main course of action, can also be pretty hurtful to them at the boat.
It's playable, but not preferable.
No, it's not. No, I usually played it when I needed to go with devotion It was one of the cuts. If I ever didn't need a creature, I'd take it out.
I agree.
So our small kind of enchantment creatures, we got a Death Toucher, which is just outstanding because that's really where what we slow the game down to one with our big creatures. We got a couple of more enchantment creatures to kind of combo with the Constellation guy. We have Constellation on two of our other big creatures. One of them gives a creature Intimidate until end of turn. That's kind of a way we can kind of push through the late game damage we need to deal. And then the big 6-drop, whenever you play an enchantment, your opponent will have to discard a card. So at that point in the game, I'm not sure if that's going to be the best ability you can have. But if they've been holding on to like some bomb the whole game, it could be pretty good. Oh, and we also have a Constellation 3-drop, which whenever another enchantment comes into play, your opponent loses a life, which is great because we've got 5 enchantments over here that we wanted to play, plus some of the creatures that could actually add up to a decent amount of damage to kind of keep the game
They can
going.
use, even though some people don't think about it, 1 point of damage can turn the tides in a limited limited duel quite easily from one side to the other, just for the simple fact that that 1 point of damage can start adding up quite quickly.
Mm-hmm. So I think we've got a good basis here in black. I think we'll definitely be playing black. I'm going to kind of not really make any cuts yet until we figure out our other color. But we kind of wanted to see what the strengths of our black was so we know what to kind of mix with it. We saw we had a lot of enchantments and things like Constellation. I guess we'll kind of move on to the white because I think the white probably had the next best strength. So let me switch the creatures and the non-creatures.
So what do you think we need in the black?
I think the black is kind of slow and doesn't have a ton of ways to push through damage. And that's kind of what I'd be looking for in a color to complement it. So I'd be looking for flyers. I'd be looking for things that are unblockable if I was going to play blue. Laying out the creatures, I was pretty happy with some of these creatures that we got here, especially the Scholar of Athreos. If you haven't played against this card is really can take over a game, especially in the kind of game that Black-White wants to play. It's a slow game, kind of drawn out. I've kind of laid out the creatures here. This guy really never plays for 1. He's a bestow at 4. But all the cards I'm seeing here, other than the Great Heart, is pretty underwhelming. Our cards I'd probably think about playing. Maybe not the Evangel if I don't have a lot of white.
Or double white for this matter.
Yeah, he's double white. The Supply Line Cranes I would play, though, because the flyers are really strong.
Yes, and you can either pub up another guy or pub up itself. So I actually like that card. I doubled them in my pre-release, and they were just a house.
Yep, I was really happy with that. God's Willing is just a great card to kind of protect you against a removal spell, or to pump up an Akroan Skyguard, or push through that last little bit of damage. If your opponents get green blockers, you just give your guys pro-green. Give your guy pro-green, get that last bit of damage through.
It's even better since our black has a lot of enchantments, and we have like a Crone Skyguards. Well, just one Crone Skyguard. It just makes it bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yep. The other white cards we've got, Oppressive Raise I was really impressed with in the pre-release. It can kind of slow your opponent down, and it can kind of just give you some more time to get set up what you want to do, which I think is something the Black-White deck would want to do anyways.
Not to mention, it is an enchantment to help the Constellation go off.
Absolutely.
I've also seen it like stop a creature almost dead cold. But
Son of Kronos.
yeah, any creature with monstrous, it actually makes the monstrous cost an additional 3, which can slow down the creature from turning the tides for enough to be able to give you the edge. The fact that they have to pay 3 to either attack or block means that unless they have 3 mana up, that card is probably just gonna be that creature is probably gonna be sitting there doing nothing for a lot of the game.
So I think, our initial idea here of Black and White's probably correct. At this point, all I would be trying to do is think about cards I might splash into the Black-White deck. This Chain of the Rocks is such a good card.
And enchantment.
It is enchantment. The trick, though, is we need to enchant a mountain. And we don't really have a good way to get a mountain out.
No, so it's unfortunately, it's a great removal card. It's probably going to be one of our first cuts.
Yeah, I don't think we can actually, even if we want to splash red, we can't really play this card because we need to have the mountain out for this, and we're probably going to play like maybe 2 mountains at most in the whole deck. It's just pretty unreasonable to kind of fit it in, I think.
Yeah.
So,
Speaking of red,
unfortunately,
do you think we could take a look at that, since black and red does seem to be a pretty powerhouse combination at times?
sure.
And the red also validates us with some pretty decent beefy creatures that can have trample or ways to get through. Not to mention really good on occasion really good additional removal.
Sounds good. Yeah, let's kind of do that. So I'm going to kind of leave the white laid out. Kind of fast forwarding ahead. I don't know if you guys want to go through it, but I kind of looked through the blue, and I didn't see anything worth.
I kind of figured that would be the next one to cut because
Yeah.
Yeah,
blue
blue.
usually you want either unblockable or flying in that one.
Right, we've got like a flyer there, and we can make 2 more flyers, but that's kind of slow. Other than that, we had a little bit of bounce, but nothing really exceptional in blue.
No, I mean the bounce is where it is. Bounce and card draw, along with now that Scry is a huge mechanic. Had we gotten like Patrick or aka Scryfish, 1 or 2 of those might be more pushing towards a playable blue pile, but in this case, it seems pretty lackluster.
So if we're going to take blue out, we'll take out the couple gold cards that go in the blue as well. So I think we're now kind of focused on 3 colors. So the red, one of the things with the red was we just didn't get a lot of guys. But it might be okay because we did have a lot in black. It's just whether or not this is going to complement the black in a way we want. So none of those guys is particularly exciting. Maybe the Intimidate 4-drop is pretty good, but other than that, I'm not.
I don't like this one. The only thing that's really complementing the black is unfortunately is this really Deathblow Raiders, which I liked it when he was by himself in Theros personally, but as slowly as the sets evolved, I slowly started not liking him. I didn't even run him in my Minotaur standard deck because I didn't like it. It was just it's a 2/3 even though it's for 2. It's just having to attack every turn to running itself into something that's gigantic is not fun.
Yeah. And, I'm looking through the red, and unfortunately for during the Knicks, we get 3 Font of Ires. I think this card is just not where you want to be. Paying 6 mana to deal 5 damage 1 time to your opponent is just, like, while this may look appealing at the outset, it's not going to win you the games where you're kind of falling behind to creatures to your opponent, where your opponent's got more creatures out than you, and you're trying to keep up. Playing this and dealing 5 to the face isn't going to do much when they've got 3 guys attacking you. You really need creatures, you need removal, you need ways to interact with your opponent to give you a chance to kind of win the game.
I agree.
Yeah.
So
I mean, the highlight cards are not even those, is what you have in front of you now.
yeah, I think both
Bolt is
Karanos, great
good.
card.
The Dragon Mythal is another good card. Also an enchantment that would have helped us had our pool in red been better. The Portrait of Betrayal, really great control card. Being able to take control of one of their big creatures late game and scrying can turn the tide of the battle quite around. Titan Strength, another great card with a scry ability. You can either save one of your guys with it, or you can also push through that last bit of damage. The last card, not the particularly best. Where red falls short in this is I definitely see it would be not the spells but mostly the creatures. Other than Intimidate and my personal favorite in here would be the 1-drop heroic guy and maybe the Deathblow Raider. Everything else seems a little lackluster. There's nothing, as you said, to complement the black.
Right.
I mean, the Intimidate is good, and the fact that you have something that grants Intimidate late game would be a warrant to have more enchantments to be able to trigger it off. But again, the white seems to be bringing the better combination here.
Right. And I think, when you're building a sealed deck, there's a couple things you got to be considering. Like, what's the overall strength of the color, and is the color going to be like really over the top, really powerful cards that are worth splashing? I don't see either of that with the red.
And neither do I.
We don't have much depth, and we don't have any cards that go, wow, I really want to play red.
Yeah, well, this is a really great card. You can't get distracted by it, and you can't risk
Right.
it. You have to look past the pretty face and see what else you got.
Right. Same thing with these two, the red, white, gold
Right.
cards that are both very strong. I just don't. I don't see the red white deck really being there
Neither do I.
No,
Right.
in
I
this
mean,
pool.
It would have
if-
been awesome, but we just don't have what we need.
exactly. If there was more,
Creature based.
Yeah.
not just creatures, but just more everything in red.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah, lightning strikes, things like that. Real strong
a little
cards.
bit of more removal or a little bit more
Lackluster.
creatures,
Yeah.
just to give the extra oomph to get to push
So
stuff through.
I think we're all agreed that white black is our strat. We're going.
Yep. So now,
You want to talk about those real quick?
the 2 artifacts. Personally, I wouldn't really be playing any of those main deck.
Neither would I.
I would potentially sideboard in the Fleet Feather Sandals if I need to kind of get faster against my opponent, or if my opponent has a lot of flyers and I can't deal with them. But neither of those is a main deckable card for me, really. So I'm gonna kind of organize my creatures by mana cost. in the white-black deck. And so we're going to kind of see what the curve looks like. I'm putting the Hopeful Eidolon as a 4-drop because you never really play it on its own.
Unless you're in a really bad spot.
Unless you're in a really bad spot.
Our 4-drops are massive.
Yep, we got a lot of 5-drops. And Seal's just kind of a slower format, so I'm not too worried about this. So first thing I'll kind of look at is, which drops do I kind of like have a lot? What part of my mana curve do I have a lot of guys at? Like we said, the Rotted Hulks don't really do a whole lot, and we get so many 4-drops anyways that are better than the Rotted Hulk. I don't think we're gonna play it.
And again, another one would be in this case
The Centaur, probably.
The Centaur,
yeah,
yes.
the Centaur. I mean, even doing 2 colors, the leeches end up being a better 4-drop.
I don't know. I never played the leeches yet, and since we're doing dual colors, I don't know how many swamps we're gonna have at this point. So you can play a 4/4 for 4 mana for like a 3/3 at least, or minimum's gonna be a 2/2. So it's kind of iffy for me. We can keep it in and see what we have, and in my opinion, it's probably going to be the first cards I would personally cut in my own sealed. So, but we're gonna delve into this a little bit deeper and see what we're gonna decide on.
I think also we kind of want to figure out if we're a mostly white deck or a mostly black deck, or if we're like truly 50-50.
I think we're looking at 50-50 right now.
Yeah,
Well, I think it comes down to the spells because you can't just go off of the creature base.
Right.
Because if you just go off the creatures at the moment, yes, this definitely looks 50-50. But there's also cuts that get made depending on what spells we're playing. Just because like we said, we have a lot of 4-drops on the creature spot. If we have a lot of 4-drop spells, those might the spells might be going away. It might turn to instead of a 50-50 to a 60-40.
I don't like this card.
Neither do I.
Put it on
I hate
the
it.
sideboard. Okay. So we've kind of got our deck laid out here. We're aiming for a 23 card deck here. Even though these two are both rares, I just kind of don't think they're where we need to be in this deck. Maybe we can sideboard in this card if our opponent's really, really, really fast. Or I don't even know. Like if they're fast, we're going to lose before we can cast it.
I don't think it's fast. It's like since it only gets rid of not enchanted creatures or not enchantment creatures. Since this is a very heavy enchantment set, it's like a soft wrath, and it might hurt you more. So like depending what they're running, it won't be good.
Yeah. Plus our deck is it's going to be like 15, 16 creatures probably.
And it's destroy all enchantment, not just your opponents. which
Non
means that-
enchantment.
Not enchantment.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what it said.
Oh.
Yeah,
Destroys all.
all non-enchantment. So it's not just your opponents; it's also your own. So
Yes,
you run the risk.
it is a
that.
wrath, and
Yeah.
I
it
consider
has
it.
its possibilities, but
Right.
sideboard is where it is.
I consider it a soft wrath. I mean, there's probably no such thing as a soft wrath, but it's like I'm coining a new term. A soft wrath.
wrath.
A soft wrath. That's what I think it is. It's
It's not Wrath of God. It's just God's a little angry.
It's God's pimp hand coming down for
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
All right, so I think the next thing I would want to do for making cuts here is kind of figure out which color I'm more strongly in. I think I'm much more strong in black, and so I think that kind of makes the Evangel of Heliod not like kind of top of the curve card I'm going to want.
I agree.
So I remove it. I'm going to still keep the Supply Line Cranes just because it's like the only one of 2 flyers that we've got on the whole deck.
And it can-
3 flyers. We got
And
three
it can
flyers.
pump out another guy.
Yeah, and it's just great.
It's always great to have backup flyers.
What about
Not to
that
mention
Crone
his toughness is
Mastiff?
pretty good.
A Crone Mastiff. We have 2 of them, so it's not bad. So we can run one if we have to. Doubles is always good of cards, but I'm not quite sure.
I'm
think
a
2
big
is
fan
fine.
of that card.
You did blow someone out today with it.
I think this card is just excellent in lots of ways. Tapping down a creature, since so many people are bestowing things and making one big giant guy, that's going to slow their whole guy down and eventually might stop the blocker that you need to kind of stop to kind of get through and push your damage. I really like the Mastiff, and I would think I would definitely play 2.
Okay.
And not only having 2 helps you take down a blocker, but it can also take down an attacker too.
Well,
Absolutely.
if we're going over cuts, the next card I'm looking at is the Minotaur, Felhide, because it doesn't do anything, has no ability. It's a 2/3 vanilla for 3, and personally, it's decent. It's not a bad card.
It's
I
a
mean,
filler card.
It's
If
a
you need-
filler.
If you need a 3-drop, it's perfectly fine. I agree with you. Most of our 2-drops are doing better than that, and having a faster curve early game
It's better.
Is pretty.
So I
good.
think that'll be our next cut.
Had we gotten more Minotaurs or a Minotaur Lord,
Would have been different.
Okay, I think that's a reasonable argument. I'm not a huge fan of this Eidolon, though it is an enchantment creature and it's a 2/1, so it can kind of trade up.
I never bestow this guy. Never. It's just 5 mana to make something +2/+1 is not
Yeah,
worth
it's
it.
pretty unlikely. The only thing I'd want to bestow it on is the Skyguard, but by the time I'm doing that, it's turn 5 or 6, and to make the Skyguard
And
just
then
like a
you're going
4/2.
all the way to this side of the table.
Yeah.
Right.
Right, and then you can really
You're
think
already making
the casting cost of that card is now over here, where you want to be playing your much stronger cards. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of on the fence about it, but let's kind of see how many
It's
cards
still
we got now.
2-1 for 2, so it's not that bad. So you can still play it as a regular creature.
We have 25 cards, and we really just want to play 23. I'm not sure if we want 2 of each of these enchantments.
I personally love the aspect of Gorgon because just the fact that you can have 2 of them and have two very potential threats, and since they're extremely hard to deal with because it's already, when you bestow it on something, it's already out of shock damage, so you can't kill it. It's really, really, really hard to kill.
But
That's
another
fair.
thing to look at is both of them cost
It costs
3
3.
mana. for
So
both
if
of
you're
them.
looking at it, they're technically over here.
Truth.
Well, it's
But-
also the fact that they are both 3 mana. So
But I mean, if I'm looking at this, like what this would be, it's basically the Nyx infusion, in my opinion. You have an enchantment creature gets plus 2 as long as it's enchantment, otherwise it gets -2/-2. So it's either kill someone's creature that's not enchantment, or plus up your guy.
And we have lots of enchantment creatures, so
we have
that
ton.
works pretty nicely in black. They definitely thought through this design of how they wanted to make the cards for black
I
and
think-
really interact with the enchantments
I
very
think we
well.
can run one. I would either use it mostly as a pump spell, since we are running enchantments, and it has that one special case where you can probably kill a 2/2.
I think Mike had the correct idea of running 1 of each
Yeah, I agree with
because
one
you
of
can always swap out later doing sideboard. Like if you find yourself going against a lot more of non-enchantment creatures that are small, you can use the 1 for a 3 mana kill spell. Where if you find yourself going against bigger creatures, the aspect of Gorgon is a great way to go ahead and turn your little guy into a blocking threat. So having 1 each allows you to have options.
Yep.
So you can go ahead and sideboard in to
Whichever one you kind of
Yeah,
need.
exactly.
I
So-
mean,
Yeah,
Go ahead, Phil.
Oh well, so we have the deck laid out, and I would love to play this deck in a sealed. I think this even though we didn't get a lot of bomb rares that people always expect in their decks to make them really, really busted, but all in all, this deck is extremely solid. It will, if we were in a tournament like for tomorrow, for example, this will go far. And the fact that we got what we needed out of this, since we are heavy enchantment, for once, Constellation is probably going to work because we have all the enchantments that we can possibly ever want. We have the control aspect of
Dictated
black.
Erebos is just an outstanding card.
We have the control for black. We have the very fast with the Crow Sky Guard and all of the stuff that you can bestow on it or other things. And the fact that we can go flip-flop from both sides makes it very hard to contend with. And then we have for the late game, we have the Scholar of Aetherios. We have things
The
tap it
Mastiff.
down. And even if we're attacking with 1 creature a turn like the Insatiable Heartbeat, that's still flying lifelink, taking 2,
Absolutely.
tapping down their board. So if they're trying to attack you, you can tap it down. So the fact we can go super speed or super slow is really what we're looking at for this deck.
It's very safe.
It's basically a sealed mid-range, which is really great to be in sealed. It's one of the few ones where if you get the combination just right, you have a very good chance of winning your tournament.
See, pretty much what I'm looking at for the set. This side of the frame is our speed. We have all of our God's Willing. We have our Oppressive Raise. We have the very good pump spell. We have destroying. I hate this card personally, but we have the 2/1.
I like
we have the 2/2 bear. We have the flyer. We have the get rid of the card in the hand. We have the Death Toucher,
Yep.
and then we have.
Now, even though we've got I think this is kind of a mid-range or slow deck, like Jared said, we've got things early in the game to make the opponent play our game, which is the
This
game over
later.
here. And we get to kind of really just take over the game with our flyers, tapping down their guys that can block our flyers, trading with their creatures and things like that.
So this is very, very safe against almost every deck that I
You
can
can probably
think
think
of.
of.
Exactly.
Which
You
is
have-
what you want to do because you don't know what you're going up against right away, and then you always have the
Yep.
side deck if you want to edit. So
Yes.
Right, and that's kind of why I brought these cards out here. Don't forget that you can bring these cards in after your first game. You decide that, hey, that was a huge mistake. We needed another blocker, or hey, we needed a couple more enchantments to kind of get us to that late game. We need to bring those in. And I mean, don't even forget, like, if you decide, wait, this is way too slow, I completely missed the ball, I should have been playing that red-white deck, you can just build it. You
You
can
can
build
always
it.
have a
Switch
deck
into it.
too that you can sideboard in and completely throw your opponent off.
I
Right.
agree.
your really fast opponent that you decide that this isn't going to be able to hang with them. You could build a fast deck out of your other cards and completely surprise them. So that's one of the cool things about sealed is it's kind of like a mystery, it's a puzzle. What's your best build? We give this sealed deck to a bunch of different players. They could have all different decks entirely. So
Right.
Well, thank you everybody for watching. This is Phil Brennan
Michael Stone.
Andra?
And Jared Smith.
at the Grid Games. Have fun tomorrow at the release event of Journeying into Nyx. Have fun. We'll see you all very soon.